Republicans are plunging America into a shutdown, rejecting bipartisan talks, pushing a partisan bill, and risking America's health care.
If they want support from the Democratic side, for God's sake, sit down and let's talk it over at the table as soon as possible.
We've said, you do your first job, keep the government open, and then we'll talk about the rest of it. There's nothing to negotiate.
It has been 7.5 hours now since the government shut down. Good morning. Thank you for streaming us on WUSA 9+. I'm Allison Seymour.
And I'm Wisdom Martin. Republicans and Democrats are blaming each other after multiple votes to keep the government funded past midnight failed in the Senate yesterday. The official White House website now features a ticking clock marking how long the government is shut down, how long this is going to go. And right now, the clock, you can see who they blame, saying, quote, Democrats have shut down the government. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris is blaming President Donald Trump and the Republicans, posting on X, quote, President Trump and congressional Republicans just shut down the government because they refused to stop your health care costs from rising.
We have team coverage this morning to help you navigate this shutdown the best way we can and the impact it could have on your life. Randy Ayala is tracking resources for federal workers. Jacqueline Quinn has more on the immediate impact, but we start with Jess Arnold on how we got here. She is live on Capitol Hill this morning. Jess.
The Senate failed to approve that House spending bill yesterday. Democrats saying they will not be voting yes unless they can enshrine those health care tax credits and then restore Medicaid funding. In terms of who's to blame, you mentioned who the White House is blaming. Each party continues to blame each other for this shutdown this morning.
They made big cuts in Medicaid, and they did not turn off this ticking time bomb that's going to explode on people's health care and increase costs.
Senate Democrats said no. Why? Because far-left interest groups and far-left Democrat members wanted a showdown with the president.
Republicans pushed for a short-term spending bill that would extend federal funding at its current level until mid-November, which the House had approved. But they're on recess right now, so House representatives are not even in D.C. to work on a new spending package. Both sides acknowledge that Americans will suffer because of this, not just the federal workers who will be furloughed, but as I mentioned, are blaming each other. Now, without a deal, funding has now lapsed at nearly every agency and department.
2 times, Republicans have failed to get enough votes to avoid a shutdown. They've got to sit down and negotiate with Democrats to come to a bill that both parties can support.
So the only question tonight is, how long will Chuck Schumer keep the government closed? It's a dangerous gambit. It's something that he himself said his entire political career would be dangerous and disastrous.
Now, on this health care argument, Republicans argue that these health care tax credits are simply too costly, that they currently reach more people than they should to qualify, and that they were created as a pandemic relief measure. And now that the pandemic is over, so too should be those credits. Now, in terms of how long this shutdown could last, the last shutdown was back during President Trump's first term in 2018. That lasted 35 days. Lawmakers say this one could last anywhere from a few days to some months. So we'll have to see. Guys?
We certainly do hope it's on the shorter end. Jess, thank you. We know this government shutdown will have wide-ranging impacts here in the DMV and across the country, too, of course. And this morning, some federal buildings, they're closed. Some services, they're facing big disruptions.
Jacqueline Quinn is live at the Smithsonian with what you need to know this morning. Jacqueline?
Yeah, so we're standing next to a number of museums. They are going to stay open. Unlike some of these federal buildings, they'll stay open through October 6th based on last year's funding. But once that funding runs out, these doors are expected to close. Now, by the time many federal buildings are supposed to open today, they'll already be shut down. Some, though, may unlock briefly so workers can gather their things, but no work is supposed to be done for many employees. That means furloughs and no pay. Federal agencies have also been directed to prepare for possible mass layoffs. So here's what is happening. Head Start and child care programs may close or limit enrollment if grants expire. National parks may stay partially open, but no restrooms or trash pickup. SNAP benefits could be delayed if the shutdown drags on. WIC benefits could stop almost immediately. Expect delays in passport processing, and federal court cases could also move slower. Now, critical services continue. Things like Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid still running, the post office open, and TSA officers and air traffic controllers still working, but without pay. The FAA is facing the largest furloughs of any DOT agency. So 11,000 Federal Aviation Administration workers, about a quarter of the agency, would be sent home. Most are support staff and non-safety roles. More than 33,000 DOT employees keep working without pay, including the 13,000 air traffic controllers. Critical safety operations continue, but rulemaking, audits, and admin support is paused. And again, we've been talking about the National Guard surge here in D.C. You should expect to see some of those Guard members, as you have been seeing. They will still be working, but also without pay. Back to you, Allison.
This morning, as we begin another government shutdown, we're taken back to the last one, December 2018. It stretched into 35 days, the longest in U.S. history, and nowhere did it hit harder than here in the D.C. region. National Park employees were sent home, but tourists kept coming. Trash piled up on the National Mall. Bathrooms went untouched. The smell? Unforgettable.
Really gross.
Really gross.
Really
I mean, it's
gross.
completely full.
True.
This is the national capital.
Not every federal employee was furloughed. TSA officers, air traffic controllers, called essential, they kept working, but without pay. Some called out sick to find jobs that did.
Air traffic is a team sport, and half of our team isn't there.
The result? Delays. Airports slowed to a crawl. Even FBI agents weren't spared.
Fund the FBI now.
Their paychecks stopped.
I'll just say one thing. It's very frustrating to have to put up with this because there's enough roadblocks doing the job to begin with, and they're not getting paid for it. That it just makes it 10 times worse.
And according to the FBI Agents Association, critical investigations were put on standby, threatening public safety. Families felt it too. Government-run child care facilities closed. Parents scrambled. And it wasn't just federal workers. Restaurants and small businesses across D.C. saw sales plummet as people who usually filled lunch counters and coffee shops suddenly stopped spending. Yet through the crisis, communities stepped up. Charities, churches, neighbors, delivering food, support, and dignity. And furloughed workers poured into Capitol Hill, demanding Congress do its job so they could get back to theirs. After 5 weeks, the shutdown ended.
Furloughed government workers are going to go back to their jobs.
But the deal was only temporary, a 3-week patch, leaving workers terrified it could happen again. That can kick down the road for 3 weeks, with federal workers worried that another shutdown was just around the corner. Since then, Congress has narrowly avoided more shutdowns with late-night deals. Now, federal workers are left wondering if their paychecks and their patience are about to be put on hold again.
And this shutdown will impact hundreds of thousands of families across the DMV. As of August, more than 350,000 federal employees called this region home. And now many of those livelihoods, they may be at stake.
So what resources are out there to support our neighbors in need? Our Randy Ayala is here walking us through it. Randy, good morning.
Hey, guys, good morning. Important information here. There are multiple agencies for federal workers to turn to right now. We're just highlighting a few. We have more details online for you, but the Community Services Agency is offering laid-off federal workers a one-time payment of $500 to cover a financial emergency. Arlington Thrive is offering workers a $750 one-time payment as well for emergencies. And Maryland's Federal Worker Emergency Loan Program, they're offering a zero-interest $700 loan to eligible Maryland residents. We have more details for you online. More than 356,000 federal workers live in the DMV. That's down from about 380,000 at the start of the year. And this morning, we're hearing from leaders in both Alexandria, Virginia, and Montgomery County, Maryland, about the impact on their residents.
The ripple effects are so large. You're talking about childcare, you're talking about restaurants, you're talking about just going to shop at Marshall's to buy a shirt, right? Someone's not doing that anymore. They're staying home.
This will immediately have potential impact on the county budget for the coming year, because every month a person's not working is a month that we're not paying income taxes, and so we expect a hit. But the bigger hit's going to be when they lay off.
All right, and more resources are on the way today. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, along with Maryland and Virginia labor secretaries, they're going to be announcing a new initiative to support federal workers across the DMV. That announcement is expected around 10:30. We also have links on our website to more agencies that can help, WUSA9.com.
And with the shutdown underway, it's important to ask that question today: where's the money? This morning, we are digging deeper into the effect that a government shutdown has on your wallet.
Shutdowns have not had too much of an impact before, but experts tell us this one could be a little bit different. Karen Coffin reports.
In the recent past, a shutdown of the federal government hasn't put too much of a long-term dent in the overall U.S. economy.
The reality is that it would not typically have a lasting impact on the economy, but it can be extremely detrimental for individuals.
Those individuals, typically government workers, furloughed without pay until the shutdown ends. But with a sputtering labor market, Mark Hamrick, senior economic analyst at Bankrate, warns this time it could be different.
This is a precarious time, and in some ways, given the fact that the U.S. economy has been seen currently or recently at an inflection point, having the lack of visibility on the job market is extremely inopportune.
A government shutdown would delay the release of the Labor Department's monthly jobs report this upcoming Friday, which informs economists, businesses, and even the Federal Reserve about the state of the economy. Laura Ulrich, director of economic research for Indeed, says adding more uncertainty could further slow the economic engine.
We certainly see that when times are uncertain, people have a harder time making decisions, so that slows down economic activity that we see amongst consumers, but also amongst businesses. And so this is just one more thing to add to that list of items that are making the economy a bit uncertain at this point.
Potentially keeping the jobs market stuck. The Trump administration also warning there could be permanent cuts to the federal workforce if a shutdown occurs, putting more job hunters on the market.
For more information on that and other money-saving news, download the WUSA9 app or text word money to 202-895-5599 and we'll send a link from Where's the Money straight to your phone.
Now, one of the lawmakers speaking out is Maryland Congresswoman Sarah Elfreth. She represents the 3rd District, home to many federal workers, and she posted a statement just after midnight condemning the shutdown. And she joins us this morning to talk more about the support being offered during this time. We thank you so much. I know you've had a long evening. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start with this. Your district includes constituents who rely on telehealth, Medicare. Reports now that telehealth could be cut off without congressional authorization. So how do you safeguard access for seniors during this shutdown?
Well, first of all, I just want to let everybody know that while the government is shut down, my office is open. And so please reach out to us, elfreth.house.gov, if we can be of service. We have a good FAQ on our website that kind of covers the breakdown of this shutdown and what it means for you. But my office is there. You will be receiving mail. Social Security should not be interrupted at all. So please call or email our office. We are going to respond to every email and answer every phone call and be there for you during this time. While I am heading back to Washington, I've been there for the last 2 days. I'm heading back this morning. You mentioned the Republicans not wanting to negotiate during a shutdown. We tried to negotiate pre-shutdown. Democrats have been in Washington, and unfortunately, Republicans have stayed home. And so I'm continuing to be optimistic that we can find a deal that both reopens the government, but also protects Americans' health care during this affordability crisis that everybody is experiencing.
What do you do in the meantime for those seniors? I'm thinking about Medicare specifically, but also telehealth too. What's your message to them in this gray area?
Yeah, please call our office, and we're going to do a town hall virtual tonight to kind of walk through these questions and answers. And so we will have more for you this evening as we're all working through. Every shutdown is a little bit different, and we're going to have all those answers for you this evening. But please reach out to our office if we can be of service.
Congresswoman, you represent Anne Arundel, Carroll, and Howard counties, also that Annapolis area too. Will other questions regarding any maybe support systems, will they be talked about this evening as well?
Yes, and I'm actually heading from here to a press conference with the governor at the State House to discuss Maryland-specific support systems. Really important to note that if you're a furloughed employee, you will receive back pay, but you will also be eligible for unemployment insurance. Now, over half of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. So I appreciate fully that this shutdown could affect you and your family, you are eligible for unemployment insurance. We discovered in the last week that if you're deemed essential and you are working today but without pay, you will receive your back pay eventually, but you are not eligible for unemployment insurance, which is why Senator Angela Alsobrooks and myself and 20 other of our colleagues from across the country filed a bill, the Help Feds Act, which is going to fill that gap. Now, since Republicans haven't been in D.C. In the last few days, we have not been able to move that bill, but we are going to fight tooth and nail for that bill for the next shutdown. And in the meantime, if there are any other ways that I can be helpful, I just met an essential employee on Monday who was concerned about tax liability during the shutdowns. Please reach out to our office. We want to be solutions oriented and help you. So that's my message. Please call us. We are open.
Okay. Again, the FAQ, the website that your constituents can go to?
Oh, elfrith.house.gov.
Okay. Appreciate you greatly. That's Representative Elfrith with the 3rd Congressional District of Maryland. Thank you so much.
Thank
know
you.
You're busy once again. Please keep us posted and join us once again.
Thank you.
Well, the government shutdown leaves federal agencies scrambling and millions of Americans facing uncertainty this morning. And this morning, we are taking your concerns to Capitol Hill, speaking with local members of Congress about the potential fallout of this shutdown. Up first, what's at stake for Virginians? To talk more about that, we are joined by a recently elected congressman to Virginia's 11th district, James Walkinshaw. Thanks so much for being with us on a busy morning. We appreciate your time. I want to start with just your reaction this morning. What are you hearing from your colleagues and constituents?
Well, I think like all of us in the region, I'm frustrated this morning. I was in the Capitol yesterday. I was in the Capitol Monday. This morning, after I dropped my son off at preschool, I'll be headed to the Capitol. I'm ready, willing, and able to sit down and work to negotiate a bipartisan agreement to keep the government open, to cancel the devastating cuts to health care that are looming, and get some protections for federal workers, and to stop, as what Senator Van Hollen said, this kind of rolling Trump shutdown that we've been living through for the last 9 months.
And we know that you are newly elected as of just a couple of weeks ago, but certainly not new to the inner workings of Congress, serving as Jerry Connolly's chief of staff. You were there for that previous shutdown that we saw nearly 7 years ago. How did we get back to this point again?
Well, look, Congress has a fundamental responsibility each year to fund the government. There are 12 appropriations or funding bills that we use to do that. And in this fiscal year, the Republican Congress is 0 for 12. They weren't able to get a single one of those funding bills signed into law by the President of the United States. And we have, as we know, a Republican president, Republican-controlled House, and Republican-controlled Senate. So they couldn't get the job done. They then came at the last minute asking for votes from Democrats, but they hadn't been willing and haven't been willing to sit down and actually negotiate and discuss our priorities on behalf of the American people.
And we know that there are a lot of federal workers in your district, a lot of federal workers in Northern Virginia. For the last 9 months, we have seen some of those layoffs of government workers. President Trump, again, threatening layoffs of federal workers even during this shutdown. What is your response to that?
Well, it is very important to note that the threat from the Trump administration to conduct mass layoffs during a shutdown is a threat to violate the law. Federal law is very clear. During a shutdown, the administration can only do things that are necessary to preserve life and property or to fulfill a constitutional duty. And all of the administrative and legal work necessary to do a reduction in force or mass firings or layoffs does not meet those categories. So if they try to do that, they will be violating the law. They'll end up in court, and I think they will lose.
We know that federal agencies are operating under a lot of contingency plans. Many services will either slow down or stop altogether. When it comes to day-to-day lives, right, these are people's paychecks that we're talking about as well. How are you advising your constituents right now to prepare for any delays in pay, cancellations, among other services?
So my office will be releasing a resource guide today to my constituents, answering some of the most commonly asked questions about a shutdown. Historically, local credit unions in the region have offered low-interest loans to federal workers Their agencies have worked to support them. So I'm going to be working to get those folks as much information and access to resources as possible. I'll also note that even though the Constitution requires that members of Congress get paid even during a shutdown, I'll be voluntarily having my salary withheld for the length of the shutdown. I feel like, I should be in the same situation as the thousands of folks I represent who work for federal agencies and won't be getting paid.
All right, certainly a lot developing just to start. We appreciate your time this morning, Congressman James Walkinshaw. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Joining us this morning is the Congressman for Virginia's 10th District, Representative Suhas Subramaniam. Thanks so much for being with us on this busy morning. We appreciate your time. I want to start with just your reaction. You live in a Virginia district that is filled with federal workers. What do you say to them this morning?
I mean, this is a really hard situation for our community. The fact of the matter is this whole year has been hard. I mean, they've already been shutting down the government with these mass firings and layoffs, canceling contracts for contractors overnight. I mean, you talked about the contractors. There's a lot in Northern Virginia, in this region, and they will go without pay completely during a shutdown, and the federal workers will be furloughed. And that has an impact on, our entire economy, restaurants, businesses. And so, we have to do everything we can to stop a shutdown. The problem is, though, this is also life or death for many of our constituents. On the line is people's access to health care. On the line is funding the continued DOGE cuts and continued assault on our federal government and control of our federal government that this administration is trying to take. So there's a lot on the line right now, and we're trying to see if we can come to a solution. The problem is Republicans didn't even show up yesterday on the House side to negotiate anything. They certainly haven't talked to me or talked to anyone. And so right now, it looks like we're going to continue to be in a shutdown until Republicans come to the table and try to figure out with us a solution.
And obviously this morning we have seen a lot of finger pointing as to who's to blame in all of this. But as you mentioned, the loss of pay, that is very real for a lot of people, especially in our area, in your district. What immediate help or relief programs are you hoping to activate to assist those who are going to be losing income during this shutdown?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, our office is open to anyone who needs help. We have about a dozen bills we put forward, help contractors get back pay, for instance, or help federal workers who, maybe they have a mortgage and it might be hard to make that next mortgage payment to be able to work flexibly with their financial institution. I'm not going to be taking pay during this time, and I have legislation to basically say that legislators shouldn't get paid during a shutdown. Really, we need to put any sort of pressure we can on legislators to actually do the right thing and fund real budgets instead of these 6 month at a time crises that are happening. And so I'm looking at all the options right now, but certainly we also are rolling out programs to try to help people during this hard time right now.
Yeah, any indication as to how long this shutdown will last? Obviously, nearly 7 years ago, we saw a 35-day shutdown. Any indication how long we can expect this to persist?
I hope not long, because again, the things that I'm putting forward and other folks really on both sides of the aisle, but mostly Democrats are putting forward, are very, very popular with the American people. We're talking about not cutting off access to healthcare and doubling people's premiums by next year. We're talking about not weaponizing the federal government and mass layoffs of federal workers. These are really, really key things that people agree on, really. But the problem is right now, the other side, they have to make their far-right coalition happy as well. And that far-right coalition is calling the shots right now. And so, if they can come together with us, figure out a long-term solution, or at least fund the government and address these issues that are life or death to our constituents, that are the difference between having a job and not having a job in our region, then I think we'll be able to avert a further harm to our community and end this shutdown. But right now, I'm not optimistic in something happening this week. And so I'm going to continue to push, though, to figure something out.
And Congressman, we have just about 30 seconds left, but I want to ask you, how do you intend to hold leadership accountable, both in your party and across the aisle, for the mismanagement that led to this shutdown and this situation in the first place?
Yeah, it's a great question, because we've had 6 months. The last shutdown fight was in the spring, and we said it then, do not get us in this position again. Let's work together over the summer. But instead, this administration passed Medicaid cuts instead, SNAP cuts. They went the opposite direction. But we've been saying for months now, do not get us in a place where there's a shutdown. But here we are now. Republicans have the House, the Senate, and the White House. I hope they'll come together and do the right thing and avert this shutdown. But right now, the way we're going to hold them accountable is by making sure we have every voice in our community heard, making sure that we push back and we move forward and find a solution.
All right, we certainly appreciate your time on this busy morning. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Joining us now to talk more about this is Virginia Congressman John McGuire, who represents the cities of Charlottesville, Danville, and Lynchburg. Thanks so much for taking time with us on this busy morning. I want to start with just your reaction this morning. What do you say to your constituents who are waking up to the news of this shutdown?
Well, I just want to say that, we're going to keep our office open. We're going to answer calls and help our constituents navigate the bureaucracy of government as best possible. But it was totally avoidable. Back in March, we had a clean CR and Democrats voted for it. Pretty much no change at all. And this time, several of them voted against. We still had 3 Democrats in the U.S. Senate vote for it, but it failed. And we just wanted to do was buy 7 more weeks to finish the budget process. Nothing new and nothing unusual. And now you have federal workers that don't know if they're coming to work or what they're going to do. So it's avoidable. We just wanted 7 more weeks to finish the budget process, but instead I think they're playing politics over we the people.
And we have certainly seen all morning, it seems like both sides really digging in and not really changing on your stance. I want to ask you if there's any indication how long this shutdown will potentially last.
Well, going back, we had a clean CR, and what the Democrats are doing all of a sudden is negotiating for things that have nothing to do with the CR. It's really interesting, but you never know how long they will go. I hear predictions, 35 days, could be a week. I know we've got Yom Kippur tomorrow, so if we don't get it done today, we'll try again on Friday, I heard, but it could be 35 days or, who knows.
And we know, this certainly impacts a lot of families, especially in Virginia. When we talk about a missed paycheck, that is very real for a lot of people. How do you plan to support federal workers in your state who are not receiving a paycheck right now?
Well, I understand in previous shutdowns is everybody's going to get their back pay. So if you're an essential worker, you're going to go to work anyway. And if you're not essential, you'll wait at home and see how we do it. But we'll answer any calls and help them with any government services we can possibly do. But again, it's this discretionary funding that's shut down. It's avoidable, and I'm going to be talking with both sides again. Continue to try to get a few Democrats on board. 3 Democrats did vote for the U.S. Senate CR version. Again, we did our job in the House of Representatives. We passed this. But when it goes over to the Senate, you have to have 60 votes. But we only have 53 Republicans. So again, those handful of Democrats that voted with us in March changed their mind. So we're going to keep working with them and try to get them to come back over here and vote for common sense.
And we know that the longer this shutdown goes on, the more the ripple effect is. Of course, we're talking small businesses, restaurants, tourism, homeowners, just a lot of people that are impacted by this. So what can people do now to kind of help them prepare if this is going to end up being a long-term shutdown?
Well, call your congressman, call your representative, let them know how important this is. And again, we're going to voice that to everyone when we can on the Hill. And we got to get them to come to the table. Again, we passed a clean CR. The Senate Democrats came up with what we call a dirty CR, where they put stuff in there that had nothing to do with it. For one thing, is we invested $50 billion in rural hospitals. Rural hospitals are always saying they don't have enough money. We did the largest investment in rural hospitals in history, and the Democrats want to claw that back. Again, that has nothing to do with the CR. Americans voted for us to help these rural hospitals and to do the things that we're doing, and they're trying to negotiate for something that has nothing to do with it. So hopefully they'll come to their senses. We'll just keep up the fight.
And we have just a few seconds left, but I want to ask you quickly. I mean, give us a sense, you touched on this briefly, give us a sense of the timeline. What are we going to see happen here on Capitol Hill over the next couple of days and weeks where people can hopefully see the government open back up again?
Sure. So I'm a freshman. I've been in Congress 9 months, so I shouldn't joke. I got it all figured out, but I'm learning. And I talked with folks with previous experience in a shutdown, and they said basically, you're just going to keep working on it every day. So if we don't get it today, we'll try Friday. Don't try it Friday, we'll try Tuesday. We'll try Wednesday. We'll just keep trying to negotiate and get the Democrats. We only need a few. But if we get them to come on board, we can get our government back to work. We can buy 7 weeks. We can finish the 12 budget bill process to keep the government running.
All right, Virginia Congressman John McGuire, thanks so much for being with us this morning. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Right now, our team coverage of the government shutdown continues here and online. We're answering your questions. Text the word shutdown to 202-895-5599. We'll text you a link with all of our government shutdown coverage. You can also scan the QR code there in the corner of your screen.